Grand Rising. So I'm out doing my morning walk with Roxy. So anyway, I was just doing a walk and I thought, I got a thought. So let me share it with y'all. So come on in, have a seat, or take a walk like me, but listen to what I have to say. Okay? So last night, my son was out and he FaceTimed me, but I was asleep. And then he sent me pictures of him out with some of my industry colleagues, right? And so as I was taking a walk, I just started thinking about that. And I wanted to share my thoughts about seeing my son network in rooms that he's been in since he was a child. Y'all, hold on. Roxy got to poop. So it got me to thinking about things that I taught my son that he actually carried into his adult life, and things that I was taught by my mom that carried on into my adult life, which carried on into my son's adult life, which hopefully will carry into my grandson's adult life. Now, results may vary because it just depends on how you grew up and what you wanted to instill in your child, or just some key things about yourself that, you think that your children will have. But for me, there were things that I exposed my son to that I'm so glad that I did, because now in his adult life, I see that it actually was worth it. So if you've been following me over the years, you've seen my son in certain rooms. A lot of people unfollowed me and were upset about my son, meeting Trump not once, but twice, and actually being a very vocal advocate in the Black Republican Party, right? So growing up, my son saw me be in various rooms, right? Or in contact with various people, from Roger Goodell from the NFL to getting prayers from Kaepernick, getting prayers with Kaepernick from Jesse Jackson, to meeting with the dean of Harvard, going to any award I want to, whether it be the Grammys, the BET Awards, New York Fashion Week. I was there, I was known for getting in room, right? But that means that I was a master, well, I am, I guess, still, but a master networker, right? And so I basically taught my son that, there isn't a room that you can't get in. And when you get into that room, make sure your value and your presence is heard, seen, noted, and you walk out of there with at least 3 contacts. And that's something that I've seen my son do over the years, even with, him writing his book. Now, for those who don't know, I am a 4-time published author. 2 of my titles have went #1 on Amazon. Hold on, I'm walking past some lawn care. Okay, here we go. But I taught my son to not only have a product, but master the art of guerrilla marketing. He was with me when he was like 4, 5, 6, tagging cars. When I had my first internship at Def Jam, my son was helping me, market people like Rihanna at the time. So, for him, it's natural for him to network. It's natural for him to market. And it's natural for him to get in rooms that most people would probably don't even know those rooms existed. Another thing is, for those who don't know my story, I grew up with a vegan holistic mom. And, since my son was a child, he's grew up with a holistic life. And later I went vegan. So now with him being in his 20s, it's natural for him to, think of holistic herbs and holistic ways to handle things regarding his health. And then also another thing is, my mom always emphasized exercise for me, right? As y'all see, I'm out taking a walk right now. Nobody told me, get up and walk. No, I understand the benefits of exercise. And so it's nothing for my son to get up and jog 2 to 3 miles. It's nothing for my son to get a membership at a gym, because these are things that I didn't necessarily teach him, but I just showed him this is our lifestyle, and he has adapted to it. So another thing that people may not agree with when it comes to my son, but I taught him the entrepreneurial. Second time I'm trying to say it and I can't even get it out. But y'all know what I mean. The entrepreneurial way of how to approach life and how to make money. My son, if you ask him, he's never really seen me work a corporate job. I had a job when he was younger. My last job was at GM Legal in 2005. After that, he's seen me get it in the industry, make it happen for myself, whether it was a book publishing company, whether it was a radio station, whether it was running a record label, whether it was even having a vegan restaurant. My son, I felt like he wasn't one of those children that would just go to college for 4 years, get a stagnant career, and he would be fine with that. Because the way that our brains work, we aren't those type of people. So my son is a serial entrepreneur, and he's been successful. Even with this moving company, he was recognized by a childhood friend, little baby, and I'm happy about that. Even though some people will say, it would have been better for him to go to school and have a job and get a mortgage and be in debt for the rest of his life. That wasn't the life that I showed him. That wasn't even the life that I knew for myself. I mean, my mom owned a beauty salon, and my father was an infamous drug dealer. My grandfather was a carpenter, and my grandmother didn't work. My aunties got how they live. My uncle, my godfather, is a mason. So, I grew up seeing a lot of self-starter people. And so my son basically adapted to that lifestyle as well. Another thing is my son is a risk taker, right? And I know for a fact that he picked that up for me. There isn't a thing that I want that I don't feel like I can obtain. There isn't a goal that I perceive in my mind that I don't feel like I can't achieve it. Lastly, a lot of people might say, oh, you're wrong for this, you're a wrong mother, but my son was privy to the type of, the caliber of men that I dated, right? He grew up having, NFL players go pick him up from school. He grew up, going to studios via my boo with some reputable people. He even was able to, go to a Rick Ross concert and walk on stage with Ross and be, I don't want to say backstage, he was on the side of I don't want to say backstage, but he was on the side of the stage. So he was able to see, the type of men that were attracted to me. And, he basically modeled himself to be those type of people. Times 10, because my son be upgrading his women's lives and making sure that they become the best version of themselves. And also, he do for them, as a man should. Lastly, with me being an avid reader growing up, it wasn't so much, I forced my son to read books. At one point I did. When he turned 16, he started to act up. I made him read books such as Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and give me a book report. Once again, another thing that changed his life for the better. Now he's an avid reader. I made him watch documentaries growing up because I love documentaries. Now he's always seeking knowledge, researching. It's nothing for him to sit at home and watch a documentary and learn some things. So I just wanted to share that, because a lot of times as parents, when our children become adults, we be like, okay, what did I do? What did I expose them to? And how did it help them? So that was just my little testimony. Share yours and let me know if you basically expose your children or taught your children stuff that they are now doing in their adult life. I'm out of here. Back to my workout. Peace.